Hello everyone, I am Janak Shrestha. I would like to welcome you all in Chapter 3 Corporate Governance. So today we are going to read Chapter 3 Corporate Governance, which is one of the most important chapter under Syllabus A. So let's start with the definition. So what is corporate governance? So you have read in F3 also and F1 also, corporate governance. So that is the same definitions we are using in F8 also. So corporate governance means series of laws and guidelines aimed at making directors manage company in the best interest of shareholders and stakeholders. So what is it? It is the series of laws and regulation aimed at making directors manage company in the best interest of shareholders and stakeholders. So moving forward, corporate governance include company relationship with shareholders, society and environment. It also attempts to deal with agency problem, suggesting best practice for companies, policies and procedures. So this is the definitions. Let's move at objective of corporate governance. So company should run in the best interest of all stakeholders, which we have discussed in definition. So what are the benefits of complying with corporate governance? There are 3 points and they are: fewer corporate failure due to mismanagement. Second, more transparency of directors' decisions. And last one, lower level of business risks. So let's write it. First is fewer corporate failure due to mismanagement. And second point is more transparent of directors' decision. And last one is lower level of business risk. So these are the 3 objectives of corporate governance. So let's move at OECD principle of corporate governance. So what is the full form of OECD? It is Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. So there are many principles under this, but we are highlighting 6 points here. So the first point is, just a second, I can. So the first point is promote transparent and efficient markets to support effective supervision and enforcement. And second one is protect rights of shareholders and key ownership function. And third one is stock market should function properly. And fourth point is strategic guidelines effective monitoring of management by board and board accountability. Fifth point is recognize the rights of stakeholders for creation of wealth, job, sustainability. And the last is timely and accurate disclosure is made on all material matters. Materials means significant matters. So these are the 6 OECD principles of the corporate governance which you should understand. So this is straightforward. So I hope you don't need any explanation about it. So let's move to UK Corporate Governance Code. So the purpose of corporate governance is to facilitate effective entrepreneurial and prudent management that can deliver long-term success of company. So it looks at long-term success of company. The comply or the explains approach is trademark of corporate governance. So what is the trademark of corporate governance? Comply or explain approach. So under this there are 6 principles. So we are going to discuss in detail one by one. The first is leadership. Under the leadership, effective board which is collectively responsible for long-term success of the company. So here directors should act with integrity. So here directors should act with integrity. Integrity means honest. And the board should establish purpose, values and strategy. And the board should ensure necessary resources are available. So board should have effective control to assess and manage risk. So another board should have effective engagement with shareholders. And board should also ensure workplace policies which are consistent with values, and these will support long-term success of company. So under leadership, directors should act with integrity, and they should establish proposed values and strategy, and also ensure necessary resources are available, and have effective control to assess and manage risks, and have effective engagement with shareholders, and also board should ensure workplace policy that should be consistent with value, which will help to support long-term success. So here the main points are integrity and long-term success of the company. So let's move to second principle of UK Corporate Governance Code, and that is division of responsibilities. So under division of the responsibility, there should be clear division between running the board and the executive responsibility. Here no one individual should be unfettered power of decision. So no one should have individual power. Here no one should have individual power. And also split rates of CEO and chairman. So there should be split of roles of CEO and chairman, as they are different person. Chairman, or you could say chairperson, or you could say chair only. So in division of the responsibility, we should know two things, that are no one should have individual power, and another, CEO and chairman are different persons and their role are different. So third principle is composition, succession and evaluation. A formal and transparent procedure for a appoint of new director to the board by nomination committee. So directors are new directors are appointed by nomination committee. Appropriate balance of skills, experience, independence and knowledge should be regularly refreshed. So there should be competence. And the board should undertake a formal annual evaluation of its own performance and that of its committee and individual directors. So there should be evaluation of performance of committee individuals. All the directors should be submitted for the re-election annually. So directors are annually elected. So these are the 3 points that you should understand under composition, succession and evaluation. The fourth principle is audit, risks and internal control. So let's start. Formal and transparent policies and procedure to ensure independence of internal auditor and external auditor and integrity of the financial statement. So policies should be formal and transparent. The board should present a balanced and understandable assessment of the company position and prospectus. So there should be balance assessment of position and prospectus. Procedure to manage risks and overseas internal control. Manage risk and oversee internal control. So audit committee of at least 3 independent entities. At least 3 independent entities in audit committee. So we will read it in next subtopic. So these are the 4 points that you should understand under the principle of audit, risks and internal control. Let's move to next principle, that is remuneration committee. So here level of remuneration should be sufficient. So remuneration should be sufficient to attract, retain and motivate director of sufficient quality but avoid paying more than it's necessary. So remuneration should be sufficient to attract, retain and motivate directors. Second point is remuneration to support strategy. Significant portion of executive remuneration should be structured so as to link reward to corporate and individual performance. So the remuneration basis should support strategy. And another point is there should be formal and transparent procedures that we have read in fourth audit risk, and that policies should be transparent, formal and transparent. So this is same. And another point is no director should be involved in deciding his or her own remuneration. So you should also know no directors should involve in deciding their own fee or remuneration. So the remuneration committee is consists of only independent entities. So these are the things you should know under remuneration committee, that remuneration committee only consists of independent entities and no director should involve in deciding their own pay. Remuneration should support strategy. Policies should be formal and transparent. Remuneration should be sufficient to attract, retain and motivate directors. So let's go to next principle, that is audit committee. This is one of the most important committee. So we are going to read this. So let's start. It consists of at least 3 independent entities. So within these 3 entities, one should have recent relevant financial experience. let's go to next one. Audit Committee on financial statement. So what will Audit Committee do in financial statement work? So financial statement work. So they will review internal audit, which we will read in coming chapters, review internal control, review, and another is monitor integrity of financial statement. So you should know this. So under financial statement, what auditors will look or review internal audit work, review internal control system, and monitor integrity of financial statement, whether financial statement is great or not. So role of Audit Committee. What is the role of Audit Committee? It is same that review of financial statement. Another is review and monitor internal control system. Another is oversee internal audit function. And another is monitor independence of external audit. So what are the problems under Audit Committee? Okay. Problems. So first is finding the right person. Second is additional cost. Another is slow down decision making. So what is the problem of Audit Committee is that it will be hard to find right person for the job of Audit Committee, and also it will cost addition. It will add additional cost, and also it will make slow in decision making. So let's look at advantages of Audit Committee. Advantages. So having an Audit Committee, it will increase auditor independence. Auditor independence. And second is keep eye on quality of audit work. So we'll keep an eye, see quality of audit work. Next is provide useful source of experts. So these are the advantages of Audit Committee. Auditor independence, see quality of audit work, provide useful source of experts. And disadvantages. So entities may lack sufficient knowledge and understanding of company. And another thing is adding layer of communication. Adding layer of communication. So due to adding of the layer of the communications, it may add cost and also slow down things. So what is the main role? We have discussed it, but what is the main role of Audit Committee is to communicate with internal auditor and external auditor on audit matters. And another is what will be the problems in getting evidence. So problems in getting evidence may be due to independence issue. Another is modifications of audit report. Another is management request. Another is any suspected or actual case of fraud. So here we come to the conclusion of Audit Committee as well as the conclusion of chapter 3. So let's go back and recall once again what we have read. So under chapter 3 corporate governance, we look at the definitions. Then after objective of corporate governance, then we look at OECD principle of the corporate governance. There were 6 points or 6 principles, and we look at the corporate governance code. There were 6 principles under CG code. Those were leadership, division of the responsibilities, composition, succession and evaluation, audit risks and internal control, remuneration committee, audit committee. So here in audit committee we looked at the structure, what audit committee do under financial statement, role of audit committee, problem of audit committee, advantages, disadvantages, main role and problem in getting evidence. So here we come to the conclusion, and I'd like to add one more thing, that this will be examined in multiple choice questions and as well as in constructive response questions. So we will talk it in our revision sessions in a while. So you should know all these subtopics, codes mainly, so that you are clear about what are the responsibilities of the directors and what are the principle and also objectives, definitions of the corporate governance. So we come to the conclusion of chapter 3 corporate governance. So let's start our revision session of chapter 3 corporate governance. So corporate governance can be examined in both multiple choice questions and constructive response questions. In constructive response questions, they may ask deficiencies and recommendation, strength, so you have to deal with it, and also you have to explain why particular practice represent good or bad corporate governance. And if question related to weakness, you need to suggest how to improve it. So the key areas that students should be happy with are UK Corporate Governance Code, which were 6, leadership, Audit Committee, remunerations and others. So the student must be happy with these things. So they should also understand key requirement of the good corporate governance and impact of good or bad corporate governance, and also have to suggest to help to company with corporate governance requirement, and how to set answer to the practical corporate governance. This will this will be dealt after completing syllabus A, so you don't have to worry on this on the practical constructive questions, but also you have to practice it. I'll give the assignment. So common mistakes that the students makes here are learning requirement of code of corporate governance code but not understand the reason. So they will run it but they won't understand the reason for that. Not correctly reading whether question 1 is strength or weakness of corporate governance. So as a student practice only weaknesses of corporate governance, so they don't read the question carefully. So you should clearly read the questions. Next is quoting rules for the code rather than practical suggestion on what board should do. So only knowing the code is not sufficient, as it will be asked in constructive response questions. So you have to link with practical scenario, not rules from the code. So today's assignment is you have to see deficiencies and recommendation strength of corporate governance from the kit or the past paper. Try it yourself. Then after completion of the syllabus A, we will discuss it, and I'll also write one long constructive questions under this. So we come to the conclusion, and you have the assignment. So don't forget, say it and try to write on your own, as we will discuss some of the questions after completions of the syllabus A. So thank you very much. This much for today. Have a nice day.